Hi, I'm John Schoolcraft. I'm the Chief Creative Officer at Oatly. Breakthrough moment. It's like, I don't know, the one maybe where I learned the most is that I had, graduated to a job at an agency and just quit it, telling the boss, I'd rather eat dog food out of a can than work another day with you. And luckily, I got a call from Ikea, the Swedish furniture maker, and got offered the job to write the entire, I think it was like 1997 Ikea catalog. So you can imagine, there's a lot of words in that. And on the project team was this young girl, I think her name was Gabriela. And she was originally from Brazil, and she had worked at Brazilian Vogue, and she edited my copy. It was the worst process and the best process. I'm pretty sure I wrote 15 Ikea catalogs at the time. But when I was done with that year of writing, I became a very, 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 very decent copywriter. And they're not that easy to come by back then or today. So it helped me greatly. Recent project. It's like we have this thing of like everything that leaves Oatly has to be world class. So you can always just, cheat that question and say the last thing we've done. But if I were to think of a couple of things, we put the carbon footprint on all of our packaging, so all consumers could actually see what the impact was. It sounds quite simple and it sounds quite boring. You put a number on your packaging, but think back in the time where, 1994, that was the date where in the US, nutritional side panels were legislated. Before that, no one knew what a carb was, or protein, or anything. And as you started to understand more about what was in a product, you can make better decisions. And so I think, actually finding an independent source that makes the calculation, every product has a different carbon footprint, putting that on the pack and then challenging the entire food industry to do the same. I think that's one of the things I'm most proud of. But then you could take almost any package of oat milk has a carton that's both scientific and nonsensical. The latest one is totally upside down. I encourage everyone to go out to their supermarket and try to find it. It is totally upside down printed, and we're already starting to have people say there has to be a mistake here. No one prints their cartons upside down. I don't know. There's so many things. For me, it's like, stop selling and buying ideas. Stop trying to be so good at looking at Excel. Stop testing, stop doing brand awareness studies. Stop just looking at the numbers for all the answers, and actually find out what's going on in the world, what's going on the street, what's happening in culture. Treat consumers as people, be human, don't be a logo. I can go on and on theories about this, but it's just, I really think we're upside down on how we look at marketing and how we create ideas and how they're bought and sold internally in a company. The best advice I got also was the worst advice I ever got. I was told at a relatively young age that you're not going deep enough on things. And I thought to myself, you fucking idiot. How do you know how deep I'm going on things? I'm going super deep on things, but I wasn't. And so I took that advice like, you don't know what's going on. And it didn't, fall into place until a couple of years later when I'm like, I wasn't going deep enough on things. It's like you almost have to go so deep on things that you would destroy them in order to rebuild them so you can find a very simple and easy way to explain it. I think Tony and I, when we first started at Oatly, we actually asked each other, can we take away the oats? Then we would just have a drink and we could do whatever we want. It's like going that deep to come back and actually realize, no, wow, oats are the amazing thing. It's an incredible crop, all the nutritional values, etc. So I think going deep in order to make something simple is the piece of advice. And I can tell you that I see that now so many times of people who haven't actually realized that they need to go a lot deeper on what they're working on in order to find things, not just, rapid fire random ideas because they get very advertising. They might be good, good for awards, but they're not necessarily going to work. I look at Oatly as, like before, back in the day in the 90s, we had tech. We still have tech now. But I think now we have food and sustainability and a planet to save. And I think that Oatly has a chance to be one of those one-in-a-generational companies that impacts the world to a level that you might have, like Apple did at one time. We're living with tech now as if it was, absolutely normal, but you can go back 10 years and we didn't all have smartphones that we carried around. If you can inspire people to make those kind of changes, to create positive societal change, to look at what they, eat as a first initial step in doing something that's both good for themselves, their bodies, but also good for the planet, so that we actually have a planet for future generations. It would be really terrible for us to be the last generation who could live on the planet and say, sorry, all you unborn people, we just had to, burn it all up. I mean, that's a bad thing. So those are the things, like to inspire people to stop unconsciously killing the planet. Wow, I haven't spent that much time actually thinking about this, but what I have thought about is how did we do it? It's like I have a whole creative team in New York that I've never met, that I've been working with, hired and worked with for the past 9 months over video. And so when you look at that and you say, but we've made it. We've made it this far. I'm looking very much toward actually getting in the room with everyone and having those 3 or 4 days instead of saying, let's go through this idea now for 1 hour. Everything's so scheduled. But it's just the fact that you can do a lot more things than you ever thought, that so many things are possible, that you can work creatively, even though it's a challenge. But it also makes me, I think, really want to at least find that human contact again, where you can actually, just like in the period of time where nothing's happening, you can actually get that idea, because the creative process doesn't come in a 1 hour Zoom call. Mm-hmm. It comes somewhere else at some other time, and you never know when that's going to come. So. Hi, I'm John from Oatly. I really hope I didn't bore you. Thank you for watching On Brand, and maybe I'll see you in the real world, real life someday.